beautiful people, and welcome. Today we're going to be talking about some of our angle relationships. This is an introductory video. This is also practice, so you should have already gone through angle relationships like vertical angles, supplementary angles, complementary angles, linear pairs, things like that in your math class. And we're going to take that knowledge and apply it to this worksheet and be successful at it. All right, let's get started. But before we do, just disclaimer, I am human, so if I make a mistake, that's okay. Just let me know where the mistake occurs so that way I can learn from my mistake and then you can learn from my mistake as well. All right, let's get started. Number one is asking us to find the measure of angle B. So the first thing we need to know is what type of angle relationship we have. So off to the side, I'm going to just write out two questions. So question number one is going to be, what do we have? And question number two, I'm going to ask you is, what does that mean? Now, at this point of the semester, these two questions are going to be very repetitive in what we're doing. We're going to be talking about parallel lines cut by a transversal shortly, and these questions will definitely still be there, and I'm going to drill you with these two questions. So you have to know, first of all, what do you have? Second of all, what does that mean? And sometimes I will repeat asking you question number two multiple times because there are certain things that we need to know, and what does that mean is one of those things. For example, number one, so the first thing I noticed in example number one is I have angles that are across from each other, but a very specific way. They're directly across from each other. So here's angle B, here's angle 67 degrees. Okay, so question number one is, what do we have? So answer one. What do we have? Well, we have vertical angles. So, and then for answer for number two, what does that mean? Well, vertical angles are congruent. And again, I'm going to repeat it. What does that mean? Congruent means that they are equal in measure. And what does that mean? Well, that means that the measurement of angle B is also 67 degrees, and that is your answer. So if you go through this process every single time, you should be successful. Let's do number two. Number two is, again, find the measure of angle B. So the first thing we have is, what do we have? And we have vertical angles again. All right, so what do we have in example number two or question number two? Again, we have angles that are directly across from each other. And if you have angles directly across from each other, they are known as vertical angles. So what do we have? Vertical angles. What does that mean? Vertical angles means they are congruent. And what does it mean to be congruent? That means equal in measure. And what does that mean? Well, that means that the measurement of angle B is equal to 53 degrees. And you're going to continue this process until you are done in completing this worksheet. All right, number three, what do we have? Now, notice that we no longer have angles that are across from each other. We have angles that are on a line. And how many angles are on this line? We have two angles that are on this line. So we have 111 degrees and we have B. So what do we have? So here's the thing, you can assign two things to these two angles. You can say that they're a linear pair, or you can say supplementary. In my class, we will always say that these two angles, because they are a pair, right? A pair means two angles on a line, they are a linear pair. So what do we have? Linear pair. And then what does it mean to be a linear pair? And a linear pair means these angles are supplementary. And what does it mean to be supplementary? So here's something that you can use to remember the difference between complementary and supplementary. If you have an angle that's supplementary, think of supper. So think of when you're eating dinner or eating supper. And when you're eating supper, you want a lot of food. So a lot of food means a bigger angle. So we have 180 degrees. Now, you're not going to say supplementary is 180 degrees because supplementary does not mean 180 degrees. It means angles add up to 180 degrees. So what does that mean? What does angles add up to 180 degrees? That means that the measurement of angle 1 plus the measurement of angle 2 plus the measurement of angle blah, blah, blah. Doesn't matter how many angles you have. It's just take all of those angles that are forming that line and you're going to set that equal to 180 degrees. So what does that mean in our example? Well, in our example, we have 111 plus the measure of angle B equal to 180 degrees. So what do we need to add to 111 in order to get 180? So what we can do is we can go back to semester 1 of integrated math 1 or pre-algebra and say 180 subtracted by 111, and that's going to be 69. So then the measured angle B is equal to 69 degrees. Now don't forget your unit of measure, so degrees is very important. So putting this little circle right on top is extremely important. All right, let's do another one. Number 4, what do we have? Again, let's look at what we have. These two angles are on a line, so that means we have, once again, a linear pair. So we have angle B and angle 84 that form a line. So what do we have? We have a linear pair. Linear pair. And what does it mean to be a linear pair? It means that the angles are supplementary. And what does it mean to be supplementary? That's a Y, supplementary. It means to add up to 180 degrees, and then it's angles that add up to 180 degrees. So in this case, what does that mean? It means that, sorry, I keep moving the paper. That means that B plus 84 is equal to 180 degrees. So that means B is equal to what? So that means what do I add to 84 to get to 180? You can also subtract 84 both sides and see if that's easier. The way that I'm thinking, if B is 100, 100 plus 84, that's too much. It's too much by 4. So what is 4 take away 100? And that is 96. And then we're going to double check. We're going to say 84 plus 96, is that in fact equal 170? 84 plus 96. And that in fact, I think I said 170 earlier, but 180. We need 180. Oops. And that does in fact equal 180. So then we have B is 94 degrees, or you can say the measurement of angle B is 94 degrees. All right, just a few more on this worksheet. Okay, let's do number 5. I'm just going to scooch this up just a little bit. Okay, number 5, same question. We're going to still solve for B. What do we have? Well, let's see. These two angles form a right angle. That's kind of a giveaway what it is. So what do we have? We have complementary angles. Now again, supplementary and complementary are kind of, they're not opposites because opposites would mean completely opposite, but think of it this way. When someone gives you a compliment, they are always right, okay? And that way you know that a right angle is 90 degrees. So a complementary angle, someone's giving you a compliment, that means they are always right. That means you have a 90-degree angle. Okay, so what does it mean to be complementary? It means angles add up to 90 degrees. And what does that mean? Well, that means if you have doesn't matter how many angles you have, you're always going to equal to 90. In our example, we have 2. So what do we have? We have the measurement of angle B plus 58 degrees is equal to 90. So how do we deal with that? We're going to deal with that by subtracting 58 both sides. So the measurement of angle B is equal to whatever 90 minus 58 is, and that is 32. So the measurement of angle B is 32. Do another one, number 6. Again, what do we have? We again have complementary angles. And what does it mean to be complementary angles? Let me shift this out just a little bit. It means angles add up to 90 degrees. So in this case, what do we have? We have the measurement of angle B plus 47 degrees is equal to 90. So again, how do we deal with that? We're going to subtract 47 both sides. So the measurement of angle B is equal to 90 minus 47, and that is 43 degrees. Don't forget your degrees. Just a few more here, and then we're going to be all set. So now I'm noticing that there is a variable and it's asking us to solve for the variable. It's super important to read the directions so you know exactly what's happening. So same questions, what do we have and what does that mean? So what do we have? Look at the location of your angles. So I'm looking that we have an angle on this side and we have an angle on this side. So what do we have? We have angles that are across from each other. That means we have vertical angles. What does that mean? That means they are congruent. What does that mean? That means the measure is equal or equal in measure. What does that mean? That means measure of angle 1 is equal to the measure of angle 2. And in our case, what does that mean? That means 73 degrees is equal to 2x plus 1. And now since we have an equation that's been set up, we can go ahead and solve for the value of x, which is what we are tasked with. Put your x in a bubble. It's reverse PEMDAS, so we want addition subtraction to go away first. Since I have addition, I'm going to go subtract 1. Make sure you put your dotted line so you don't do the same step on the same side twice. 73 minus 1 is 72. Bring down your 2x. How are 2 and x attached? By multiplication. We're going to undo that by dividing by 2 both sides. 2 goes into 7 3 times. 3 times 2 is 6. There's 1 left over. So now we have 2 goes into 12. 2 goes into 12 6 times. And again, double check your answer if you're not sure. 36 times 2 should be, in fact, 32. So x is 36. Now, I'm not going to write degrees here because we are just solving for an unknown. We're not solving for the actual angle measure. Let's try another one. What do we have? You should be able to answer that question without my help now. These two are across from each other. So what do we have? We have vertical angles. What does that mean? That means they are congruent. What does that mean? It means equal in measure. Let me scooch that a little bit so you can see what I'm writing fully. And then what does that mean? That means the measure of angle 1 is equal to the measure of angle 2. And so what does that mean in our example? It means 2 plus 3x is equal to 80. Again, dashed line to separate it. Here's your x. Here's your 2. I'm going to subtract 2 both sides. So I'm going to bring down my 3x. That's 78 divided by 3 divided by 3. 3 goes into 7 2 times. with 1 left over. 3 goes into 18 6 times. And again, double check 26 times 3 if you're unsure. And in fact, that does equal 78. So our x value is 26. All right, guys, this concludes this review of just the beginning of angle relations. If you have any questions, please let me know. If you catch a mistake, also let me know so I can fix it. We both can learn from my mistake. I truly appreciate you watching my videos. I hope you learned from them. Once again, thank you, and I'll see you in our next video. Goodbye.